Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eric here. Welcome to another video game review. It's been a while since I did a review, which I would like to apologize for. I just haven't found like the motivation to want to do reviews. Not because of anything, just I just haven't really felt it in the last couple of weeks, but since I've been streaming again, I figure I might as well bring back reviews. And this is the review for a game I already completed during a stream play, but I feel like I should talk about as well. So today I'm going to be reviewing Destiny 2, which is the sequel to the very polar receptive game Destiny. Okay, so let's talk about the gameplay first of Destiny 2. Now, one of the things that has been at least positively received in both Destiny games has been its gameplay. And honestly, Destiny 2 pretty much maintains the same kind of gameplay that the first game had, which was run around each area, kill a bunch of enemies that may or may not kill you as well, utilize your abilities, your grenades, your melee ability, your special, and all that. So it's consistent with like the first game, with very slight changes in both how you can use your weapons, among other things. Now, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 both have really addicting gameplay. It's very simple, and at the same time it's also just more or less difficult to get into, in the sense of like you're gonna be dealing with overwhelming mass enemies that you can probably one-shot if you utilize your abilities to the fullest. In terms of its gameplay though, like I said, you mostly run around, you mostly kill things. It's pretty simple, like I said, but it's also really addicting because the game can sometimes give you a rush when you're trying to encounter new enemies, trying to kill them, and the odds are being stacked against you as more and more enemies pop up. So it's a lot of fun. Plus the different enemy varieties also offers a little bit of intriguing things, because some of them you have to at least know their weaknesses before you start killing them. The weapons are basically the same as in the last game, only difference is you now have 2 power weapons and a heavy weapon, basically. Honestly, I feel like it's an improvement over the first game, because I feel like I at least have a better chance of survival with the weapons that I'm given than, say, in Destiny 1, where I only had one normal gun, a side gun, and then a heavy weapon. But in all of its sense, Destiny 2 adds in a little bit of improvement, as I said, to the gameplay of the first game. And honestly, it feels a little bit more fun than the first game, in my opinion. Alright, moving on to the next portion in the game. Moving beyond gameplay, we're going to be talking about the story of Destiny 2. Now, Destiny 1 was heavily criticized due to the fact that its vanilla campaign was, in all honesty, very weak in its execution and done poorly, where you feel like as if your story did not really matter as much. Like, it was a very weak campaign. Excellent in gameplay, but poor in storytelling. Destiny 2 rectifies that with its own campaign that not only does its best to develop each of the supporting characters, aka the Vanguard, but at the same time it at least tries to show a compelling villain that you can basically have a motivation to want to kill. Now granted, the campaign of Destiny 2 isn't the best, nor is it the worst. As I said before, the Vanguard has their own moments of character development, but a lot of other characters that they also have in the game don't really show that much character development. Like, you have a couple scenes with them, and then they kind of just drift off. And the story in of itself feels odd, mostly because it goes the whole, oh, your guardian is the chosen one gimmick, which not only is very cliche, but it also isn't explained well, because the story in of itself doesn't try to explain how your guardian, out of so many guardians that are out there, is the only one that is able to tap back into the power that he lost. And at the same time, one of the things I feel like the story kinda does a bad job with is how you don't really have a direct confrontation with Gaul, minus the first part of the game. Now, honestly, the first portion of the game was very well done, because it actually shows your weakness or vulnerability, that without your powers you are basically just playing a normal FPS game. And I feel like we should have had more of that. About an hour of just regular gameplay before we go back into like the whole, oh, we never die. Honestly, it's very disappointing how that went, but at the same time, the campaign in itself does a fantastic job of improving upon the first game, which isn't saying much as well, because the first campaign of Destiny was pretty bad. Now, honestly, I feel like one of the also issues that people have also brought up, but I feel is a valid point, is the fact that this could have been done with any of the different factions. Like, they could have had their own villain that would have done the same thing as Cabal did, and it probably would have ended up the same way, which, fair point. But Gaul is also a character that I feel like he was a pretty solid villain in comparison to every other villain that's been in Destiny. Well, the only other villain that could have done much better than him was the Taken King. But I feel like his motivation also is very cliche and corny. Moving on to another portion in the game. One of the things that I want to talk about now is how Destiny 2 compares to Destiny 1, in a sense. Now, Destiny 1, when it first launched, it received a lot of criticisms. It had a lot of issues when it first came out, with matchmaking and all that. And with the poor campaign, the only thing that people had going for them was the post-game content, which is mostly relying itself on RNG and its use of the loot. Now, honestly, Destiny 2, it has a better campaign, as I said before, and it definitely improves upon like a lot of the features that Destiny 1 had or didn't have, which is nice. Destiny 2 has a better world to explore, in my opinion. Like, the different areas that you could visit at least feel more, they give me a better reason to want to explore. The game has more content to use to explore around, like the adventures, the little missions that you do for like each of the characters actually offers more than just Destiny, which was patrol this area, do this little thing, which I felt was very bare. Like it didn't offer me any sort of like satisfaction with anything. While in this game, the little side quests, the little adventures that you get, they actually tell a little bit of a story in of itself, which is nice. The story felt more coherent, but it actually started talking about a lot of the mythology and all and everything. Well, Destiny, it took the Taken King to actually start getting a coherent campaign. And then there's also the fact that a lot of the stuff that Destiny had it was improved upon only happened during the expansion that was released alongside it, which was the Taken King, the Rise of Iron, House of Wolves, Dark Below, all those different campaigns. Now, in a sense, Destiny 2 does its best to improve, but it also somewhat kind of ruins what was made Destiny. Because once you beat the campaign, and once you beat the quests, there's not really much else to do. With the loot being more or less based on your light level and based on your level in of itself. Like the thing that is the most important out of Destiny, which is collect loot, raise your light level so you can partake in other stuff like the Curse of Osiris trials that has started to show up, the Leviathan raid. Like, it honestly relies heavily on you collecting loot to level yourself up in your light level. And honestly, it's a very grindy thing, but it's less grindy than the first game based on what I've seen. But at the same time, it also takes away like some of the post-game content that people have been talking about, because it doesn't rely heavily on RNG anymore. Now, what do I say about Destiny 2? And what will I say, in my personal opinion, what I felt it was? Granted, I've never played any of the Destiny expansions. I've only played the vanilla campaign. But I can honestly say that Destiny 2 felt like a major improvement over Destiny 1. And honestly, I had a lot more fun playing Destiny 2 than I have Destiny 1. Now, if I were to give Destiny 2 a rating, it would probably be a 8.5 out of 10. Because the game in of itself was a lot of fun. It was definitely a little bit harder and a little bit more easy to deal with regarding a lot of the stuff. This is simple. They changed quite a bit of the gameplay in terms of like all of the features that they added into and what they removed. So I can't say for sure that this is a perfect game, but in terms of what they were trying to go for with Bungie, with their story and all that, this is a right step. This is a step into the right direction. Now I know that the Curse of Osiris expansion has already released. I haven't been able to get around to playing it, nor have I purchased it, but from what I wear, it's also very well done. So Bungie, good on you for not only correcting your mistakes from with the first game, but also at least trying to remain coherent with your story and with your gameplay at least. So yeah, that's about it. The game was fun. Gameplay remained basically the same with some added features. Story definitely was improved. Well, the villain. Okay, well, one thing I do want to mention is like they definitely did a lot more with the story and with the development, because characters that you honestly couldn't care less about in the first game, at least now feel bad for them, which I will give them that. And for the people who were expecting like this amazing new story for Destiny 2, honestly probably had their hopes held a little too high. But that's just my opinion. Well, I'm gonna end the video off. Thank you so much for watching. Like, please leave a comment, leave a like, all that stuff. Check out my other reviews. I'll probably also upload the other movie reviews that I've been meaning to upload, but I just never got around to. And we'll see how that goes. I'll probably have a couple more video game reviews coming soon, because I have a couple games that I'm almost done playing, but I'll soon start doing reviews based on them. So be on the lookout for that. Here's hoping that it all goes well. Oh, anyway, I'm gonna sign off now. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.